Professor
expensive.
Drew, I must say thank you for joining us. I mean, now you're not with the university.
Yeah,
but
I've retired. So when I'm helping you now, I'm not helping you as a representative of the University of Newcastle because I've retired. I don't work there anymore. But I am an adjunct professor elsewhere in Australia and a few universities overseas still.
Yeah. Look, thank you very much. And your report, we had your report last week. We tabled a report last week. And now we're going to have this advisory committee going forward. Do you want to just expand on that for us?
Yep. So it was one of the recommendations in our report. And remember, the report was written by 3 independent professors.
Yes,
and
right.
we had a list, quite a long list of recommendations, but people making recommendations externally based on numbers and based on economic theory don't always make recommendations that can be applied to particular towns and particular subcultures within towns. And
Yeah.
the key thing, and this is why we had it as a key recommendation, is that we established a financial sustainability committee that looks at the recommendations the professors made and say, will this actually work in Leeton? Is this possible? Is this what people are willing to put up with or accept? And the problem with all this sustainability stuff, and people need to be very mindful of it, it comes with trade-offs and pain. You can't suddenly become sustainable without having cutbacks or higher fees or higher taxes or something. Things are going to change, and every change is going to cause a certain degree of pain for people.
Correct. I think we want to get across to the community also that it's not bad management or mismanagement over the years. A lot of councils are in the same predicament as us, and we are pretty good, really, all things being considered, what we've been doing. But we need to make those tough decisions. Sustainability, as you pointed out, Professor Drew, is that the current people paying for the current services.
Yeah, we've got to pay our way. And a lot of people forget, us older people in particular, we inherited most of our infrastructure from most of our governments unencumbered without huge debts. You know, if you think about, if you want to talk about sustainability and intergenerational equity, think about the federal government and the $1.something trillion debt that we've got. It's not sustainable. And it's not fair, because I can remember, was it back in 2006, the federal government had 0 debt. So you can always, as a government, and this is a great moral hazard in government, unlike other things, you can spend money now and force someone else down the track 10, 20 years time to pay for what you're consuming now. I can't do it in my personal life. I can't go on a spending spree and send you the bill in 10 years time and say, here you go, George, pay that. But we can do it in government, and that's a huge risk. If we're not careful, we're going to leave our children and our grandchildren far, far worse off than we were ourselves. Now, we can't do anything about our state government and our federal government, but we can do something about Leeton Council.
So this committee, we're asking for people to come forward and to put their name forward, and we need their passion, the commitment, the fortitude, and it's going to be a while to do this committee, to look at everything, recommendation, and of course that they will give a report, and that report will go to a full council, and the full council will look at that, you know. So that's important that people can come forward, please. We're all valued people of the community, and we need to hear from you.
And on that point too, don't go thinking if you're sitting in Leeton and you haven't been an accountant or you haven't worked in a council before that you can't be on this committee. All we need is people with goodwill and common sense to turn up, to listen to things. We'll explain it simply. And what we're really going to do, what I would like to be the approach is this. We look at each recommendation. We talk about the pros of adopting the recommendation and the cons, the downsides of adopting the recommendation, because there's upsides and downsides to everything. There's always a trade-off. And we list all those things, and then we also investigate and look into the practicalities. How do we actually make this work in Leeton? And then what I'm hoping is what goes to the council is a sheet of paper for this recommendation. These are the upsides. These are the downsides. These are all the other technical things you'll have to think about and how we're going to communicate it to the community and things like this. now make a decision. So it's really important people don't get the wrong end of the stick and think that they're going to override the council and get to make the decision. That's not the system we work in. We have a democracy. The council's democratically elected. They make the decisions. All we're going to do is gather the best information together so that the council wills, as a group, can make the best decision for us. But I would like people to have realistic expectations. Some people think that you can find massive savings in a local government or government of any type of 20, 30, 40, 50%. Those savings just aren't there. If you look at an income statement from any local government in New South Wales, you'll see about 30% of its depreciation. You can't touch that at all. The auditors control that. That's all about what you've built in the past. You've got no control over that at all. 30% of its staff. You can't suddenly have a council with no staff. You've got to have staff, and in fact the demands on staff have been increasing over time, and their wages increase of course every year. And the other 30% materials and contracts, and most of that's untouchable. It's things like street lights and insurance. The council's insurance bill is massive. Fuel. We can't do much with most of those things. We will make the savings that we can, and we will all work in good faith and do our best, but I want people to be realistic about how much is likely to be found.
That's right, and there's only 4 ways that we can raise income. One is loans. Well, we don't go there all the time. One is grants, and we can't live on grants forever. One is fees and charges, which we need to look at, and then the last one is rates. And we just need to have a common sense look at that, those last 2.
Yeah, and we're going to leave the rates as a last resort sort of thing. So the things that we're working through now, one of the recommendations in the report was about your grants, your road grants. There's a road grant scheme. It's federal government money allocated by the state government. And the report authors found it unlikely that you're getting a fair share of your road grants. And if we could get a fair share of the road grants, that would probably make more difference than anything else to our financial sustainability journey. You're right, that's not the answer. It doesn't solve the whole point of financial sustainability is to solve the intergenerational equity problem. Taking out an explicit loan from a bank doesn't solve that at all because they've got to pay off the loan. So that doesn't help us. Fees and charges, definitely it's one of the recommendations, one of the things we're going to have to work through. But I've noticed in the past, not just with your council, but with every council, but I was in a council meeting where you were talking about fees and charges. Every time you go to put up fees and charges, people say no. But the reality is that if you don't put up fees and charges to cover the cost of services, you're either going to have to cut the thing or you're going to have to put up rates. The money doesn't come from nowhere. And then ultimately, we're going to probably have to have a talk about rates.
Yeah, and fees and charges are not put up to make money and to make a profit out of it. It is to try and cover the costs of those services.
That's right. So we're going for full cost recovery, and a lot of fees and charges under the legislation, we can't charge more than what full cost is. Most councils don't charge anywhere near the full cost of things. Now, some things we don't want to for very good reasons. So, for instance, swimming pool entrances for children. We don't want to. We want people to learn to swim, particularly children. But other things, we're going to have to make some tough decisions. And this is what I'm saying. There is no costless path to financial sustainability. Just like in your personal life, if you end up with a problem, there's no pain-free solution. You're going to have to get a second job, or you're going to have to cut back on your spending, or you're going to have to drink home brand coffee or Aldi Tim Tams. There is no painless solution. There never is. And people need to be realistic about that. But we're going to minimise the pain. And I'm extremely pleased at how everyone on council's got the same mindset. We're going to try to do our darndest to minimise the pain, but we need to be realistic.
And I like to think also that our council, where we're coming from a good position to a certain degree. We're not a basket case for many sets of animals.
Not at all.
And we've got a lot going for us. We've got manufacturing happening here. We've got big corporate manufacturers and farmers and agribusiness. So we've got a lot to be proud of. We want to keep our people here. We want to attract those people here. So having this committee and this study into the future of our council is very much needed.